Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the VSCRA Sim Racing Series live from Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval for round number 8. We just got done with a halfway break, and we are getting ready to take them to the green flag, so we'll just go ahead and give you your full field rundown for the starting lineup. Brian Mercurio will be starting on the pole with a 1:19.56, followed by Austin Johnson in second. Andrew Schwartz will be starting in third with Jake Fisher fourth. Will Rogers will be starting in the fifth position with Chase Alvey in sixth. Elliott Henderson will be starting from the seventh position with Jonathan Taylor starting at 8th. Arnold Columbia 9th with Mitchell Riggs rounding out your top 10. Timmy Paccioli will be starting in 11th with Ryan Vargas in 12th. Avery Schwalm will be starting in the 13th position, followed by Austin Moorer in 14th. Cody Ederman will be starting in the 15th position, followed by Chad Miska 16th. Eric Keff 17th. Justin Aiello 18th. Andrew Hale 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is Michael Frisch as the pace car has pulled down pit road, and we are about to go green flag racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for 33 laps around the Roval. As we see, the race leader has pulled out to an astounding lead. The 41 car of Brian Mercurio has already checked out as they enter the heartburn corner for the first time here tonight, as chaos could ensue here. So far, everyone gets through nice and clean. A little bit of a checkup there as some cars get together, but are able to get through nice and clean. Looks like Ryan Vargas in that number 15 got a little bit held up by some competitors, but he continues on his way as they make their way through the infield section of the course. A couple of cars going wide, but still, right now, the 41, Brian Mercurio, has checked out from the field right now. And of course, my name is Taylor Burris, and joining me here in the booth is Blake McCandless. And Blake, this series is looking forward to a great night of racing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, America's home of motorsports, as they're completing their first lap going through NASCAR's turn 1 and 2. This track is going to provide a lot of different strategies for drivers, along with the difficulty of this track, because even the best of the best struggle at Charlotte Roval.
They certainly do, Taylor. This is a very just awkward place to get around. I won't say it's definitely not a bad racetrack. Very, very fun, but just the chicanes out of it, it just provides such a unique challenge for these drivers. And, you know, one guy that I've known ever since they pretty much started running this configuration of the Charlotte Roval, there's really almost nobody I'd see in this race rather than Brian Mercurio, who, I mean, obviously qualified on the pole and is fast in his own right. And I think he's showing you exactly why here, just pulling out to a nice solid lead and able to take advantage of a restart where, you know, Taylor, looking back at that restart zone, it's so difficult to restart here, especially if you're the rest of the field going through that front stretch chicane. We don't restart off of oval turn 4 like you would see in real life. You have to go through the chicane, and that causes a lot of chaos here, as you see even some more off the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, they're very struggling. There's a lot of struggles going on, especially when they go into Heartburn Corner, which is that turn 1 right there. But right now, they're going up through the transition as they make their way up to NASCAR turn 1 and 2, and they will hug up against that white wall and then dive into the bottom of the racetrack to build that momentum to set them up for the first of the 2 chicanes here. The first one here on the back stretch, the bus stop, as we see the race leaders work their way. As we have trouble, the 19 Austin Johnson goes around. He just clipped that blue turtle a little bit too much, spinning it around, and he's going to drop all the way back to, it looks like, 8th position, as Mitchell Riggs in the 09 was able to get around him, but no one else made contact with him.
It's such a difficult corner to get in. We talk about this backstretch chicane, and particularly here in the Xfinity cars, you're working down, you're downshifting right down to first gear. And I mean, it's even a mistake that I was running a race a little bit earlier today. You do the same thing. You get in a little hot, you're having to get on the brakes, and all of a sudden when you pop that thing into first gear, it can very, very easily slide around on you. So that's a mistake that is just typical of the Roval here. It's just an awkward entry into that backstretch chicane. And if you barely overdo it, I mean, you're having to brake all the way at about that 5 marker on the back straightaway. And if you just barely overdo it, around she goes.
Yeah, you're going to experience a lot of wheel hop, especially in these Xfinity cars. They're built to run on the road courses, but they are not as aerodynamic to where they were able to get the grip needed due to the fact of how much power that they are having to pull off off corner exit. But right now, everybody's working through nice and cleanly as a couple of cars are trying to get onto the banking here of NASCAR Turn 1 and 2 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Still your race leader, Brian Mercurio. Well, he's checked out by quite a good margin, about 4.3 seconds ahead of the second place driver of Jake Fisher, who's in a good battle with the 67 of Andrew Schwartz as they go through NASCAR's Turn 3 and 4, heading to the second of the two chicanes here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And right now it's a great battle as we go into the chicane right now. Schwartz can't quite get close enough to make a pass, but as a curb hop pretty much basically going up on two wheels, they'll continue on their way into Turn 1.
This is one thing about the Roval here. It's just the passing zones and passing opportunities are so scarce to come by. So you'll see as these guys work through these first couple of corners down into Turn 3 right here, a long right-hander that, depending on the setup these guys are using, and particularly if it's the iRacing fixed setup, these cars don't particularly want to turn right very well. So you'll see them work uphill here into Turn 5, a little bit of a blind corner here into Turn 6. Again, you just don't turn very well through there. And then this is a real trouble spot here in Turn 7. This wall right here, it can almost snatch out as you see somebody, I believe it's Justin Malillo in the background there. He's going through Turn 1 and somehow got that UFI Ford Mustang all turned around.
Got it turned back in the right direction, though, as he goes underneath the Bank of America bridge, but he is struggling right now. That car is just all kinds of sideways as it goes through that long right-hander. And another car in front of him, the 63 of Eric Kemp, also went around on that short chute before they make the climb up the hill. And he's still spinning out of control.
Still having issues, and it's something that you see. Issues tend to continue to pile up. We see Eric Kemp obviously having some issues there. You mentioned Austin Johnson as he got off through the backstretch chicane. Well, guess what? A little bit later on that next lap, he ends up getting some pretty heavy damage on his SPG Toyota and caved the right or the left side of his car in while he was making his way through turns 5 and 6. So mistakes tend to pile up here. You get those tires cooked and you just fall out of a rhythm here. This is a racetrack. You talk about rhythm racetracks, and this one is a bit of a different rhythm, being the Roval that it is, but you definitely have to get in one because it can go spiral out of control really quickly like we've seen for a couple of these guys.
Yeah, most definitely. We've seen that all over the racetrack right now as the battle for second is heating back up. Jake Fisher's trying to hold off a hard-charging Andrew Schwartz, and Will Rogers, who is considered a road course ringer here in this series. Of course, this gentleman has had a lot of accolades here in the motor racing world. Actually, a 25-hour of Thunder Hill winner in his class, as he did so back in 2019. So he knows how to get around a road course, and he's doing quite a good job. He's caught up to the back bumper of the 67 of Andrew Schwartz as they go through NASCAR Turn 3 and 4, set up for the final two chicanes. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be one to watch, and it's pretty much going to be an enjoyable watch as he is trying to work his way up through the field.
So Rogers trying to rebound from fourth, and even the Canadian directly in front of him and Andrew Schwartz. He's kind of been right behind Jake Fisher for the last handful of laps and just looking for an opportunity to get by. It's pretty easy to tell when you think you're faster than somebody, but it's awfully hard here to find a passing opportunity. If that guy in front of you is running anywhere close to a similar pace, you just really have to bide your time to try and find an opportunity where you can pass somebody.
Now, for some of you who are new to this series, this is the first broadcast that they bring here. They're using the old point system here. So first place will get 48 points, followed by second with 44, and so on. Pole winner gets a bonus point along with the most laps led, a single lap led, as well as the fastest lap. So they'll get some bonus points throughout the duration of this points battle championship here. Currently, as we look at the points championship, as drivers are currently separating themselves just a little bit, as we continue under green flag conditions, Jacob Fisher, who we just talked about a little bit ago, he's currently sitting in the first position. He holds that position from the DL Performance Esports with his teammate, Timothy Pacioli, who both of those two drivers have had strong ones. Timothy had a win earlier this season as he is trying to work his way up through the points and possibly swipe that points lead away from his teammate Jacob Fisher. Brian Mercurio, who is currently our race leader, he sits in third as he has collected 2 wins this season, but he's only had 5 starts. So if it wasn't for those starts, we could be seeing him up towards the front of the point standings.
And certainly, so you definitely want that strong run. And I mean, right now, just putting an absolute clinic on this field last time by, and the lap times will fall off here pretty drastically through this because of the tire wear. These tires seem to go pretty quickly. Mercurio laid down a 119 in qualifying. 120 is his fastest race time, but he's already hitting the 122s in terms of race pace. So these tires fall off quickly, and that's what's going to be interesting to see. The track temperature out here, 128 degrees. It's a lot higher than what these guys have been running if they've been running a lot of the official series racing in the Xfinity series on iRacing. Much cooler track temperatures out there. So tire management, taking care of the rears. We know that's something you always have to look at when you talk about iRacing, stock cars, and road courses. It's something you just got to look forward to and keep in the back of your mind. And especially for Mercurio now, who just, I mean, has so much pace here tonight. He could really just afford to kind of take things a little bit easier.
Yeah, he's pulled it out to about an 8-second lead over Jake Fisher as they come across the line. I want to see what his lap time is. His last lap was a 123.21 as the rest of the field of the top 5 come across the line. Yep, he's still the fastest driver out there on the circuit with a 123.21. The only other driver who came close to him had to go to the 67 of Andrew Schwartz with a 123.287, while the rest of the field is dropping back to the 124 bracket or lower. So the top 3 are kind of around the same distance or speed, but the rest of the field is struggling out there for grip and tire management. But don't worry, they get a halfway break later on in the show, so we'll see them coming down pit road to make some needed tire changes and maybe a little bit of strategy, make some adjustments.
Do that. And I think one driver that is looking forward to that midway break is Justin Malillo, who had some more issues in the road course section and is already, if you can believe it or not, he's already gone behind a lap to Brian Mercurio, as Mercurio actually approaching some more lap traffic in front of him in just a couple of moments. To Eric Kemp and Aaron Hale, who are just a couple of seconds right now ahead of Mercurio, but that's how quickly things can go south here when you're just not able to handle this race car very well around this really tricky road course.
And you know what? The amazing thing is when it comes to stock car racing now, as we all know what the 2021 schedule is, road course racing is going to be a big factor if you want to make it through the NASCAR Cup Series or even the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We've been seeing for years how the NASCAR Xfinity Series has been using basically a lot more road courses, and the Charlotte Roval has been one of the newest additions to the circuit. Of course, we saw in 2021 we'll be seeing Circuit of the Americas added to the schedule, so these drivers are going to have to get used to running road courses if they want to work their way up through the field. As we see them, Brian Mercurio able to get by one of the lap cars, now sets his sight to put Eric Keff in the 63 a lap down as they come up to the transition zone, and he heading back up onto the banking.
Certainly so. It's going to be something that you see with the new schedules, and obviously sim racing is going to somewhat mimic what you get in real life as well. So over the next couple of years, these guys like Brian Mercurio, guys like Andrew Schwartz, who really enjoy coming to these types of racetracks, they're going to be to the benefit of it. As Mercurio, he has Kemp go off the chicane in front of him, and it looks like he's able to collect that race car. He's just going to let Mercurio on by and serve his timing penalty to iRacing. But certainly so that it's going to be something that these guys really look forward to. And you have to think of the changes that's going to bring not only to sim racing, but the sport in general, and how, you know, you're going to start attracting a lot more stars that have that road course talent, or it's going to be a necessity to be able to compete in stock cars at the highest level.
As we keep a little bit further back, let's go back towards Ryan Vargas, who's having a little bit of a rough night. He's got some damage to the back bumper of that number 15 TikTok Chevrolet Camaro, as he is trying to get a little extra practice before he goes out to Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. Currently running P13 in a heated battle with the 88 of Chad Milskoff and the 17 of Age Free Swalm as they come out of the final chicane across the start-finish line. He's able to pull away a little bit from those two drivers, but sitting in 13th with a bit of damage, now moves up to P12. That damage is going to hinder him just a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like Vargas, he has a little bit of rear end damage. So you can see right there, and just look at the back end of that TikTok Chevrolet sliding all over the place. And I think Vargas, that's just one of the things in iRacing you have to be really careful of, is chewing up those rear tires. And you could see the back end of that race car not very happy as Chad Mike is starting to make just a couple of car lengths up on him. But it's going to be one thing here. Can you get to this halfway break? That's really all you have to do if we're going to get here to halfway and kind of slow things down, allow these guys to come back down. The last thing you want to do is overcook those rear tires. And again, Ryan Vargas just drifting as he got up onto the oval 1 and 2. And I don't know. He's going to have to do quite a bit to hang on here, because 6 laps here is a lot to try and hang on.
It certainly is, as he goes through the bus stop chicane once again on the back straightaway. Nice and smooth, able to get it as he gets the power down, and still just practically going left to right, swerving, getting as much grip as he can in those tires in order to keep it out of the wall. But he will continue on his way here, holding on to 12th position. As we go a little further up, there is a closer battle for the 4th position. Chase Alvey was able to get around Will Rogers in the 69. So those two are battling as they go through the short chute as they make the incline up the hill here on the back part of the infield section of the Roval.
As they make their way up, and Alvey going to work down into turn 7 and start to make his way towards turn 8 and up onto the banking here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And, you know, Alvey obviously taking care of those tires. We see another battle right here. Jonathan Taylor trying to hang on over Mitchell Riggs, who started back in the 10th position. He's started to make his way forward to 7th. Not a whole lot of draft to speak of here on the oval. It's not enough to really pull up to anybody, but you know, can make just a little bit of a difference. But it looks like Riggs being awfully smooth here, keeping those rear tires under him. Oh, and just as I say that, a little bit of a wiggle out of the 09 machine.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, Blake, you know, when you were bringing out the drafting here, by the time you get up to full song, you have to already get back onto the binders and breaking it down, dropping it all the way down to first gear for these corners in order to make it through. So, as you brought out, draft is not going to be a big help whatsoever on this circuit at all.
No, it's not really going to help it, especially with the speeds that you're running. These Xfinity cars don't really have much of it in iRacing anyways, but with the speeds you're going to be running on the oval part of the track, not going to get up to not going to quite get up there. Is again, still this battle for second is awfully close between Fisher and Schwartz, who have really gone tick for tack these last probably 7 or 8 laps or so. And Schwartz stalking him, but just can't find the speed quite yet to try and get around Jake Fisher.
Looking at the times and the speed between these two drivers, Fisher seems to be better on corner and exit. He was able to get the power down and able to pull away, while Schwartz seems to be better on corner entry, where he's able to gain that lost time before he then loses it off corner exit, as he sees coming out of the backstop of the back straightaway of the bus stop chicanes through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. He was able to gain a little bit of that lost time that he had before now getting back up to full song, heading into the last final chicane before they get to the start finish line. As the caution comes out for the first time, that will mean probably one thing: the halfway break has approached.
Well, I think they're going to try to get this halfway break done so that when we restart, we can be starting the second half. So obviously that's the thinking here, is to try and throw it a little bit before halfway, pace around a couple of laps. What could be a very long couple of laps here, as obviously the iRacing pace car still sitting on pit road waiting for Brian Mercurio to catch him. But it's going to take a little bit. And, you know, this is a good opportunity for a lot of these guys to kind of go back, assess, look at the tire wear, whether they're wearing their rears out too much or locking up a little bit too much going to the backstretch chicane. Anything they need, this is obviously a good chance for them to sit and evaluate that.
And while they are evaluating their strategies, their race cars, in order to see how much damage they need to look at and think, we are going to evaluate and thank one of our sponsors for tonight's race. TheRacingExperts.com, your place for NASCAR, eNASCAR, and other motorsports news. Visit www.racingexperts.com today. As we are still waiting for the pace car to finally be able to pull out to catch up to our race leaders, as soon as we get everything lined up and get done with pit stops, we will give you the full field rundown here And then once again, we will turn them back out on the racetrack loose once again. And by the time we go back green flag racing, we could be looking at anywhere between 20 to less than 18 laps to go by the time everything goes back green flag racing, as the pace car has finally caught Brian Mercurio, as he will finally get behind the pace car and be at pace speed.
We'll have to see this time. I'm pretty sure they're going to allow pit stops this time. If not, we'll have to take another whole trip around here. 45 miles an hour pace speed to allow the rest of these guys to catch back up, a lot of whom are still trying to run down Mercurio and this Porsche pace car. They're having to do quite a bit of work to try to get up to them. And after running some races here, not going to have to worry about any type of fuel strategy here. These cars can certainly make it whatever we may go green with. They're going to be able to make it to the end on tires and on fuel and what have you. So no, I guess, one stop, two stop strategies, anything like that. We're basically throwing it all out the window. But one driver that's been particularly impressive started all the way back in the 20th position and kind of slowly but surely worked his way up through traffic. He's sitting in 8th right now. That is Michael Frisch, and he's had a very, very quiet night. And this is exactly why a guy like him wants this midway race break, because traffic here can slow you down so significantly that being able to kind of reset and bunch back up could really help somebody who obviously has the speed to continue to maybe contend for a top 5 tonight.
Michael Frisch in that number 58 Toyota Supra actually has one of the top 5 fastest laps of the race here tonight, as he ran a 121.793. Looking through timing and scoring and all the other laps that have been posted, there's only 3 other drivers who had a faster lap than him. And that is, of course, 3 out of our top 5. Of course, one of them the fastest, Brian Mercurio, with a 120.38, the fastest driver out there. Of course, during qualifying, he ran a 119. So pretty sure it's safe to say that if Brian needed to, he could go quite a bit faster out on the track. But as the pace car will lead them through NASCAR 3 and 4, we should be seeing pit stops here momentarily.
We should, and obviously with how important these restarts are and getting out in front of your crews or getting out and restarting through this chicane, we will see pit road open this time. And again, every little position is going to matter because of how just awkward and just strange this restart is as we're working through the chicane. And we'll have a couple of cars take the wave around. Justin Malolo will be one of those, and I guess he's probably just hoping that they can get a caution somehow, some way, because of the huge tire fall off that these guys have. It'd be really interesting if somehow the track is blocked and we get a caution, that even just having a lap or 2 fresher tires, we've seen how big of a difference it can make.
Yes, indeed. Now, for those of you who are watching here with this race, if there is an incident out on the track, instead of throwing a full course caution like you would see on an actual oval circuit, for these road courses, they will throw what is called a local yellow, which means in that area, you are not allowed to pass. You are to slow your speed down until the track is cleared. The only time our race officials will throw a full course yellow is if a complete major area on the circuit is completely blocked where no cars can get through. They will throw the full course yellow caution out in order for drivers to know and to slow down out on the racetrack. So, as the race off pit road has been completed, Brian Mercurio is your winner off pit road, followed by Jake Fisher, Andrew Schwartz, Will Rogers, and Chase Alvey, your top 5. And as we get ready to work our way through, once they come around and complete everything, before we go back green flag racing, we'll give you the full field rundown here to let you know where your favorite driver is currently sitting out on the circuit.
Yeah, we'll do that. And obviously, I think the lights are still on. Indeed, they are on the pace car. So we'll at least have a little bit that you can, we'll have to wait and see for these guys to get all the way through this caution flag period. So it'll be interesting to see if we get the lights off this time. Austin Johnson, you mentioned one of those guys. He started up in the 2nd position, obviously has a fair amount of speed to run out here with. You don't qualify nearly on the pace that Brian Mercurio was running if you don't have speed, but we've seen that especially these road courses with the tire wear and everything else that becomes a part of it, you really have to have speed, but you have to find a good balance, right? You have to have that short run speed and just raw talent to be able to just get through this track and know exactly how to take these curves. But it does take a lot of discipline to kind of flip over to the other side with how hot the track temperature is and everything involved with that to be able to manage it. And unfortunately, when you make one mistake, they tend to pile up pretty quickly. And unfortunately, that happened for Austin Johnson. But we'll see. Pace car will pull around this time, and I think we should get lights out this time by.
Yes, indeed. We should be seeing the lap cars go get their wave around and get back on the lead lap. Of course, those may have to come down pit road probably to either get some tires or the needed fuel possibly to complete this lap or complete this race as the pace car lights are off. And with that, we will give you the full field rundown here for the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As we see here, currently your race leader is going to be, as I'm waiting for timing and scoring to update, it is going to be Austin Johnson.
Yeah, I'm showing Austin Johnson.
Austin Johnson in the 19 is going to be your race leader when we turn him back loose, followed by Nick Olson in second. Brian Macario is going to be starting in third with Jake Fisher fourth. Fifth goes to Andrew Schwartz. Will Rogers in sixth position. Chase Alvey seventh. Eighth goes to Mitchell Riggs. Jonathan Taylor ninth. And Timmy Paccioli rounds out your top 10.
It'll be Ryan Vargas that runs in 11th. Elliot Henderson will run in the 12th position. Chad Micah scored in 13th. 14th will go to Austin Moore. 15th is Cody Erdman. 16th is Arnold Columbia. 17th goes to Michael Frisch. 18th is Zachary Sullivan. 19th goes to Kyle Riley. And 20th will be Austin Drake.
21st goes to Joey Stone, followed by Avery Schwalm in 22nd. 23rd, Eric Keff, the last car on the lead lap, followed by Aaron Hale in 24th, the first car one lap down. And Justin Malillo rounds out your 25-car field. Well, as the pace car still leads them around the track, we're going to take a quick break, but don't worry. When we come back, we will give you the green flag and the restart here as we continue for the VSCRA series at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
In the parks of Milan lies a temple to speed, Monza. Here, one mistake can put you in the wall, a second can put you out of the race. And for two drivers, their chance at history lies here at the start-finish line. For Sebastian Job, the game plan is simple. Make no mistakes, and the title is his. For Josh Rogers, the window is small, but it is not shut. With Lady Luck on his side, he can spoil the party. 10 rounds of racing comes down to this. Who takes home the championship and the $50,000 to go with it? In this cathedral, when the clock strikes zero, one name will stand alone. This is racing for immortality. This is esports personified. This is the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup.
Welcome back here to the VSCRA at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A green flag is out, and Austin Johnson just shot out of a cannon and just pulled away from the field. But Brian Macario had a cut course penalty. He's going to have to drop back a little bit. So this is going to be exciting as they head into Heartburn Corner for the first time under green flag conditions after the restart.
And not a great start there for Brian Mercurio. We mentioned that restarting is awkward through that chicane, and he blew right through it on the bottom just with everybody trying to get through there too wide. It's just so much different than what you're used to and accustomed to. So Mercurio going to have to do some work to try to get back through this field. And, you know, before we went to break, I went back and saw the strategy call that both Nick Olson and Austin Johnson utilized before they had the halfway break. Olson and both Johnson kind of preparing for what was to come. Johnson came down and pit on lap 9. Olson came and pit on lap 10. So the flip in track position and coming down to pit road before the caution was out and knowing that they'd gained quite a bit of spots. It's working out. The call's working out for them so far. They get out to a nice jump on this restart. Mercurio may run them down eventually, but I think the flip in track position, especially for Johnson, who had some damage already, probably a really smart move.
A very smart move indeed, as Austin Johnson has checked out from the field by about 3.1 seconds over Nick Olson, Jake Fisher, and Brian Mercurio as they go into the chicane for the next time. The final chicane now going curb hopping, 2 wheels up on these race cars as they go down the front straightaway, heading into Heartburn Corner. This is going to get a little interesting as some of them try to go 3 wide, some of them wheel hopping as they go through. They are able to make it through contact, though, for the 25 of Nick Olson as he just pancakes the outside wall barrier through there as they work their way underneath the Bank of America bridge through that long sweeping right-hand corner of turn 3 and 4 down the straight. Now it is going to be Jake Fisher trying to hold off a hard-charging 41 of Brian Mercurio.
And Olson just had to get out of the way there. He got into the wall and just got all out of sorts there on those old tires. And unfortunately, the field was very quick to pounce on him. But now Jake Fisher, we've seen he's been pretty strong right now. And with Mercurio having to get through traffic, how long can Jake Fisher try to hold off the charge from Mercurio? You also move Will Rogers now into the front of the field. We were talking about Michael Frisch and how he had made his way forward. He's all the way back in 14th and actually has quite a bit of damage on his bar visuals machine, and it looked like that all kind of happened in that big restart that we had, a bunch of stack ups through the front chicane, and Michael Frisch got quite a bit of damage when he ran into the back of Aaron Hill on the restart.
Yeah, a lot of cars are starting to get a little bit more damage now out on the racetrack as they're trying to gain every spot. They're making a little bit of mistakes as they get into the back bumper of other competitors and continue on their way. But right now, we are keeping an eye on that battle for second. The 84 of Jake Fisher holding off a hard charge of the 41 of Brian Mercurio, who's been leading all night till the halfway point here tonight and putting on a dominant performance. But right now, Austin Johnson in the number 19 has had the fastest lap of the race last time around. This time, though, it has been Brian Mercurio with the fastest lap right that time by with a 121.770. He now gets past Jake Fisher and sets his eyes on our race leader, Austin Johnson, in the 19.
Well, we were wondering how long Fisher could hold him off, and it appeared the answer was not very long. Mercurio now setting his sights on, once again, Austin Johnson, who's about on 4 or 5 lap older tires than what Mercurio is running on. So I think it's only a matter of time before Mercurio chases or runs him down, barring any other mistake that Mercurio can make. But not a bad job here by Fisher and Will Rogers, Space Station Gaming Ford pair, running awfully strong here in the top 5.
Yes, a very strong run indeed for those two drivers running 3rd and 4th. So a good top 5, good points nights for those two drivers as the 67 of Austin Schwartz rounds out your top 5 if he is trying to close in to the back bumper of Will Rogers. Remember, him and Jake Fisher were battling pretty much for second before the halfway point here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway as they dive back into Heartburn Corner once again. And still, Schwartz is able to gain a ton of time on the 69 of Will Rogers as he's just trying to get control of his race car as it gets a little bit squirrely on him and continues on his way.
He does. Schwartz trying to slowly make his way forward. Mitchell Riggs, you could also throw him in that conversation as well. A battle from 2nd to 6th that through these opening laps of the second stint, about 3.5 seconds is what separates Mercurio and Riggs. And obviously Riggs starting to catch up to the back of this field. He took a little bit of a slide right there as he exited turn 7 onto turn 8. But there you see that gap between Mercurio and Austin Johnson starting to shrink pretty significantly that last time by. Mercurio cut about 1.5 seconds out of his lead, and there you can see just how much harder Mercurio is able to just get on the binders. And already through the backstretch chicane, that's almost all he needed as he's already the inside of Johnson.
Side by side, they'll go through NASCAR 3 and 4. Mercurio will get a nose out in front of Austin Johnson before they get to the braking zone of the final chicane of the final corners. And Brian Mercurio once again back up to the race lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, clipping the curbs, hopping him over, and keeps on trucking here as he will go into turn number 1 once again into Heartburn Corner, where really what we see in the real world racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval, a lot of issues and tragedies happen, but here it's been pretty clean through that first corner.
Well, I think the biggest difference that you see in real life is really on those restarts. You get that run, and because of that, you're restarting on the main part of the oval, and so that's one thing that the Cup guys just really, or the real life drivers just really have to balance of how much different it is to try and restart and go into a heartburn turn off of a restart versus if you're just doing it normally. Because obviously, if you're normally completing a lap, you're getting off of the chicane, and you're not at full song by the time you hit the start finish line. But particularly for the guys in the back of the pack on a restart, you're restarting all the way almost at the exit of turn 4, so you can build up a lot more speed on those restarts as you head into that first corner, something that again you can't really prepare for unless you're doing a restart, and you add on that cold tires, less grip, and everything like that. It obviously makes a big difference, and a nice move there by Will Rogers is able to stave off Andrew Schwartz, as Schwartz really got through that backstretch chicane well, and it looks like Rogers struggled a little bit, slid through, but he was able to hang on.
He's still trying to hang on to that number 69 Ford Mustang as they go into Heartburn Corner. Once again, Schwartz tries to take a peek to the inside, but can't quite get there just yet, as he will continue on his way as they head underneath the Bank of America Bridge. Meanwhile, a little further up the road, battle for second between the 84 of Jake Fisher and the 19 of Austin Johnson, as Fisher has caught up to our former race leader, the 19 of Austin Johnson, in his Toyota Supra, as they make the climb up the hill.
Well, and this is kind of the downside of having those early tires. It was only about 2 more green flag laps before this caution flag came out that Austin Johnson was on those tires, but you can see just what a big difference it makes as he'll give a slight kiss to the outside retaining wall, the safer barrier here through NASCAR 1 and 2, 9 and 10 here on this road course, and Johnson just doing the best. I mean, I like the call with how much track position he lost. He had a lot of damage to repair. He was able to do that under a green flag pit stop and not really lose anything. So all things considered, you still like the call here to try and gain all that track position back. It's just it's going to be a lot of hanging on and hoping that he hasn't gone too far and wearing those tires too much, because when it's all said and done, what we restarted on lap 17, he's going to have to go about 18 laps, which is about 6 laps longer than he ran during that first stint on his tires. So he's going to have to manage it by quite a bit if he's going about a third of the race longer than he did on that opening stint.
And for the other driver who also came down pit road early before the halfway point, the 25 of Nick Olson, well, he decided to bring it behind the wall and retire. His night is done, as he will finish in the 25th position here tonight. As we continue, we are now closing in on 10 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway right now. It is going to be Brian Mercurio, your race leader, by about 4 seconds over the 84 of Jake Fisher, followed by Austin Johnson, your top 3. But you're going to have to go a little further back to see some of the great battles right now. A battle for 5th position between Andrew Schwartz, Mitchell Riggs, Chase Avely as well. Those 3 drivers, and then also throw in Will Rogers in the 4th position, are battling it out as they're actually catching up to the 19 of Austin Johnson. So pretty much from 3rd on to about 7th position is a battle for position as they continue through NASCAR 3 and 4, as we see Andrew Schwartz take a peek to the outside of Rogers, but can't quite make it work, as we see the 19 of Austin Johnson come down pit road.
And Johnson going to try the short pitting strategy once again, I suppose. Thinks that maybe these guys will try to split it in half, and he'll try to go short once again, see if he can make it work. I'll tell you what, though, I'm keeping my eyes on a battle right now. It's for 11th, but there's about 5-6 cars you could throw under a blanket right now. Just in front of Kyle Riley, as he blows through the front stretch chicane, he'll have to give a little bit of that time back, and a bunch of cars back here who have a little bit of damage. But Austin Moore, he'll make his way by and try to get the 12th position, and they're side by side as they work through turn 2. And this is a really tight part of the track, not going to turn well here. Chad Mikus all the way on the bottom on the outside, making his way by is Cody Erdman, but Willie, he goes in the grass. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. They're 3 wide now for 14th.
That was the 39 of Arnold Columbia, followed by the 74 of Austin Drake as they make the climb up the hill. And still, as we see, Drake just practicing his drifting skills here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Probably not the best car to use here to practice his drifting skill, but hey, he was able to make a nice save and continue on his way. But now that will bring up the 52 of Cody Erdeman along with the 39 of Arnold Columbia back up to the back bumper of Austin Drake as they go through NASCAR 1 and 2.
Well, and a nice little hefty and healthy battle going on right here. And, you know, these are a lot of cars that obviously just didn't have the pace, and you can see have not really handled their rear tires as Austin Drake, rather. Wow, Kenyon Drake. Running back for the Miami Dolphins, somehow that comes into mind. But Austin Drake right there just sliding all over the place in that cookout machine and trying his best to hang on. It checks them up for Erdman and Columbia. Columbia going for the pass through the chicane, and it looks like he's going to complete it. And, yeah, he's going to be able to hang on here. And here comes Austin Johnson on fresh tires.
Shot of a cannon, Austin Johnson is able to easily make quick work of the 52 of Cody Erdman as they go through Heartburn Corner once again. Heading through turn number 2, he is on rails right now. Let's keep track and see what he is able to accomplish with those fresh tires. He's already gets past the 39 of Arnold Columbia and now tries to find a way to get around the 74 of Austin Drake down the short chute before they climb the hill.
And it looks like Johnson going to be able to make his way by. There is one car that is slightly off track in front of him. You can see the 24 machine of Austin Moore ran off the racetrack momentarily as he's able to collect it back up. Again, a tough section of the racetrack right there is turn. We've already seen a number of cars, about 4 or 5 of them, run right off on the exit of turn 5. But Johnson really just in his own league right now. He's already pulled about 2-3 seconds on these guys as they left the road course section. So this is the flip side for Austin Johnson. He gets to enjoy all these laps on these fresher tires as he works his way by. You see another one blow through that back stretch chicane. That's the 52 Erdman. He's going to have to give that time back, and that's going to allow Austin Drake to go on by.
Austin Johnson was able to get around Chad Mikos as he comes around in the 88. Now works his way around Kyle Riley in the 62 as they come out of the back straight or the front stretch chicanes. Heading into Heartburn Corner, he will make quick work of the 62 Ford Mustang, move him inside the top 10, and now he has about he's 33 seconds back from our race leader, Brian Mercurio, but he's about another 9 or 10, make it 14 seconds back. 10 seconds back from the 9th place driver of Ryan Vargas. We'll have to keep track and see what he is able to do, if he's able to get a stronger finish, or will 10th be the best he can do here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Vargas is able to hang on right there. But again, I keep having my eyes directed towards this battle for about 11th once again. Kyle Riley, Chad Mikos, Austin Moore, just putting on a really fun show here. Cars are damaged up. You can see the bent nose on the 88 Valvoline machine. The same can be said for Austin Moore. Kyle Riley has a bit of a crinkle in the nose of his Mustang. And I mean, these guys here, you see Riley locking up there through the chicane. This is where the battles are really fun to watch. Guys just really showing you how difficult it can be to wheel their race cars around this Roval. And they're definitely trying their best to do it. But man, it's fun to watch, at least from this standpoint.
For a broadcaster, it is exciting. It brings a lot of fun. For a driver, probably not. They're not looking forward to this. They are trying to make sure they can bring it home in as least amount of pieces as possible, as we see Kyle Riley trying to hold off Chad Mikos as they go through Heartburn Corner through turn number 2 once again.
Well, in a big battle brewing here, I'll have to redirect our attention to the battle for 3rd, because there is a big stack up there as you see them work it on to turn 8 through turn 9. They're going to go side by side. That's the battle for 4th that Andrew Schwartz is going to surrender to Mitchell Riggs, rather. Chase Alvey looking to the inside. Is he going to go for a pass in this chicane? He is, and he gets into the back of Rogers and sends him around.
And we got
one
a car
flipping.
And pretty much Mitchell Riggs just bounced up high in the air with that contact as he broke the suspension of his 09 Chevrolet Camaro. And his night will be done here tonight. We are still under green flag conditions at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The track is not blocked. There is a local yellow towards that way, and it looks like several other cars have some damage. The 66 of Chase Alvey Will Rogers, his race car is tore up, but he is still going out on the racetrack. And Ryan Vargas was able to get through along with Austin Johnson, who was thankful probably for that incident because he's now able to close up and move into 8th position.
Well, and all that started on a very aggressive move from Chase Alvey. Is again, it's so difficult to try and make your way forward there. And unfortunately for Erdman, Mitchell Riggs rather, he saw that move coming. He saw there's no way that Alvey is going to be able to make it through this backstretch chicane. He gave up the position and knew what was coming. And unfortunately, there just gets tied up in the turtles, and his car goes for a pretty wild ride. But wow, close. White knuckle racing here, and we were talking about Frisch earlier. He has rebounded all the way up to 3rd, and then there's still a great battle going on right around Chad Mikas. He gets by Kyle Riley.
Chad Mikas has now broken into the top 10, holding off a hard charge from the 62 of Chad Riley, who he's been battling with since the restart of today's race here, as we are closing in on lap 29 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. No issues for the race leader. He is currently 5.1 seconds over Jake Fisher. As the rest of the field, probably the best battles are like we brought out with Chad Myskoff and Kyle Riley, as well as the battle for 3rd between Michael Frisch and Andrew Schwartz. Those two are now heading into Heartburn Corner right now.
They are, and another thing to report, Kyle Riley blew through the backstretch chicane again in that battle for about the 10th position, so Mikas is going to go by and make up a spot right there. Riley has blown through a couple of these chicanes, particularly the backstretch. I believe he's done twice, in the front stretch he's done once, and you can see him even right there off the curbs, just sliding around all day. It's been something to watch these guys battle for really close for about this 10th position or so, but I think we'll have to put that on hold for a minute. I think Andrew Schwartz wants his way by Michael Frisch up here for 3rd.
He is trying everything to get to the inside of Michael Frisch, but can't quite make it work. A car lane separate the two drivers as they come out of NASCAR 1 and 2 down the back straightaway, heading to the bus stop chicane, hitting into the braking zone around the 4th brake marker, and able to make a nice smooth entry. Both drivers hitting the curves, but not too much, as we now see Andrew Schwartz lose control almost of his race car, able to gain control, but loses a ton of time to the 58 of Michael Frisch.
That's so tough there. Obviously, Schwartz trying to drive a little bit harder, push it a little bit over that edge to try and make up that time and see if he can find a weakness in Michael Frisch. But unfortunately, he's just not able to do so. Gets those rears cooking just a little too hot. Does a nice job of saving it, though. Won't lose a ton of time and won't kill his tires, but he's just going to have to kind of regroup himself and try again. You see him even there drifting kind of through one. He's definitely starting to feel it. You see Ryan Vargas. We'll see if maybe the tire management a little bit better on the TikTok machine as they work it through one. It looks a lot smoother. That ride looks a lot better than how it was looking about 10 or 15 laps ago through that first run.
Yeah, it's a little bit more smoother, a little bit more planted to the racetrack here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unlike Will Roger in that 69, he seems to be drifting a little bit too much to his liking, probably, as they come out of turn 3 down the little short chute before they make the climb up through turn 4, 5, and 6.
Making that climb, and Will Rogers trying to get back in this race. He got spun, and that's one thing. His tires obviously aren't going to love that, and obviously the damage that he's having to pull along with that Space Station Gaming Ford as well. And it looks like that's enough to let Vargas just drive on by. You can see through the high-speed parts of this course just how easily Vargas is able to pull away. And we know how sensitive the damage can be here on iRacing, particularly for aerodynamics. And I think you can see right there is one car, Justin Malillo. He is just not having a fun time tonight. He's going to do a little bit of a burnout here on the backstretch chicane, try to get back forward, but I don't think he's having fun tonight, Taylor.
I think Justin is ready to move on to the next round next week, as we will continue to see them continue on their way. But he's only got about 3 more laps to go, as we see lap 31 has complete. Actually, make that 2 laps to go if I look at my timing and scoring correctly.
I believe we'll take her. We got 2 to go this time by once we take the stripe. So it's largely been, I know we haven't talked a lot about him, but Brian Mercurio just, putting on a clinic here. He's just been able to pull away and just has this place really well figured out as he continues to pull away. But still that he's been smooth all night, and you can see a lot of the issues that we've been chronicling throughout the field. Guys sliding around, losing grip. You haven't seen any of that for Brian Mercurio, who's just been awfully calm, awfully smooth, and take the 2 to go this time by.
As 2 to go is left in the race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval. Brian Mercurio has about a 7.2 second lead over the 84 of Jake Fisher. Then you got to go another 16 seconds back till you'll find Michael Frisch in that 58 machine, as he is in a heated battle with the 67 of Andrew Schwartz. So that's probably going to be the best battle out on the track for the final step of the podium, as both of those two drivers get sideways after clipping the curb.
They both get sideways, change back there for 7th. Will Rogers goes in front of Ryan Vargas. But yes, this battle right here is what you want to see. Frisch trying his best to hang on with a damaged race car. And Andrew Schwartz obviously kept it pretty clean right now. Is he going to find a way by? He couldn't necessarily do it with Fisher earlier. We know how strong he is. And you see right there, Schwartz gets to the back of him and just gets a little bit loose, trying to get the throttle too early. And Frisch is going to run wide here. Schwartz checked up for him. He thought he was going to cut him off side by side through this section. Awfully difficult to manage, but I think Schwartz knows he's the faster race car. Can he find a way by? He's going to go for it now as they work up off of turn 8.
As they come out of turn 8 through the transition of NASCAR 1 and 2, we see Andrew Schwartz to the inside of the 58 of Michael Frisch. He will complete the pass, can move him up to P3, but now will Frisch respond as they head down the back straightaway through the bus stop chicane? The answer will be no. Schwartz will hold on and move him to P3 as they now work their way to here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The white flag is out for Brian Mercurio here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 1 lap to go. He's just got to make one more clean lap.
One more clean lap, and all he really has to worry about in terms of traffic is you have Joey Stone, who may come into the picture here, but otherwise, just as he's done all day, all night long, very smooth here through 3 and 4. No issues there, not even getting close to that grass. Don't want to mess anything up here. Smooth 5 right on the curbs, and going up towards 6, and again being a little tame this lap. He doesn't have to push too hard. He's got a large lead, and all he really has to do is eye Joey Stone up there. But just a dominant performance for a guy that loves this racetrack, loves coming here, and he's proven it. Why now?
This will be his 3rd win of the season here at Charlotte, or the season for this series, as he comes through NASCAR 1 and 2 for the final time.
And he's going to get hard on the binders here. Don't need a wheel hop. Don't need anything there, although he could probably afford a mistake right now and still be good. About 9 seconds is the advantage he has over Jake Fisher, but it looks like all smooth and riding home for Brian Mercurio.
Out of NASCAR 3 and 4, heading into the braking zone for the final chicane for the final time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mercurio is going to be able to get by the lap traffic very easily. Checkered flag is in the air, and he gives a little bit of a slide as he comes across the line, as Brian Mercurio picks up win number 3 here for the VSCRA series at Charlotte, as he does his victory sliding celebrations as he takes home the win by over 9 seconds over Jake Fisher. Andrew Schwartz just now coming across in a tight battle with Michael Frisch. He will take up the 3rd position. Your podium finishers have just finished as we look to the field to find any more close battles.
Well, we saw actually Schwartz got insanely loose on the back straightaway when going through that chicane, but Frisch didn't have the opportunity to pounce on it. He blew right through it, so unfortunately that hurt him right there. Vargas is going to cross in 8th. It looks like Chad Mikus is going to get the best of that battle with the 86. He's going to come home and round out 9th. Timmy will get a top 10. Arnold Columbia a little short. Oh, and actually a spin here for Mikus, and he's going to have to roll across backwards after, I think, somebody skipped through the chicane there. I believe Timmy kind of just ran right through both of them and just kind of full throttled it. We'll have to see, but Mikus unofficially right now scored in the 12th position. He loses a couple and ends up crossing the line backwards.
As we get a look at the replay, we see Timothy Piccoli basically treating his Ford Mustang as a rally car instead of a cup car, just leaping over both the turtles as he makes hard contact with Chad as they come out of the chicanes. So that will be looked at probably by race control.
You'd imagine. So, as much as you want to keep it on the curbs, that was really on the edge of what you would deem acceptable or not acceptable, just kind of blowing straight through there. And he was able to keep it forward. Austin Drake able to hang on by just over half a second for 15th. And Zachary Sullivan, the last car on the lead lap, will finish up in 16th. But Brian Mercurio has been waiting to do this all night long. I think he knew it was coming. Very confident at these road courses, and he's going to do a little bit of a burnout with us.
Well, while he does his burnout, let's go ahead and give you the full field rundown here tonight. Brian Mercurio is your race winner. He started on the pole and never looked back. Only had to make one chance to work his way up to the field, and that was after the restart. Jake Fisher will come home in second, followed by Andrew Schwartz in third. A big move tonight for Michael Frisch in the 58, who started 20th. He will come home in the fourth position. Jonathan Taylor will come home fifth, followed by Austin Johnson, who, with some interesting strategy calls, was able to come back and work his way to sixth position. Will Rogers will come home in seventh, followed by Ryan Vargas, having a good little run out there, getting ready for this weekend and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He'll come home in eighth position. Timothy Piccoli, yet to be determined with that incident that happened on the last lap. He's currently scored in ninth, with Arnold Columbia rounding out your top 10.
I will remind you that all these results are unofficial. Austin Moore scored in the 11th position. Chad Mikus right now currently listed in 12th. Kyle Riley hangs on for 13th. Elliot Henderson 14th. Austin Drake and Zachary Sullivan 15th and 16th respectively. And then a couple of drivers who just really did not have the evening that they wanted. Joey Stone in 17th. 18th goes to Eric Kemp. 19th to Aaron Hale, and Avery Schwalm will round out the top 20.
21st, 5 laps down, will be Justin Malillo. I'm pretty sure he's looking forward to leaving Charlotte and heading to the next track, with Chase Alvey coming home 22nd, 6 laps down. Mitchell Riggs in 23rd as well, 6 laps down, followed by Cody Ederman, 24th. 25th will go to Nick Olson. And with that, Brian Mercurio is making his way up to the booth, and we're going to sit down and talk with him as we're waiting. Here he is, Brian Mercurio. This is Taylor up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Congratulations on your win. How do you feel? You had a dominating performance here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Pretty good. Just wanted to keep it easy there in the first, if you want to call it, stage before the competition caution came out, and then it was a little interesting there in the second or after the restart, and if you want to call it the second stage. We had Nick and Austin stay out on old tire, or they pitted beforehand. So just trying to get around them. It's one of those cases where, you can get in front of them, but you just got to be patient with it. You got to let, the race come to you. And, took a few laps, got around them, and then just kind of set a pace. Made sure I was pretty good on fuel. We had about a lap extra. So just wanted to monitor that and kind of cruise around.
How difficult was it out there with the conditions of the track? I mean, hot temperatures, slick track. I'm pretty sure it provided a little bit of an interesting situation for you out there every so often.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. Been running a few B-Fix races this week. So that's in a lot cooler conditions. So, it was a little bit of a adjustment period to get used to this. Definitely more slip in the rear tires. Front end doesn't bite nearly as much. It's kind of the setup too, but just kind of had to adjust for those things. Make sure you manage the rears. Can't really push it the whole time. A lot of the times on road courses, you got to really, you know how to run a hot lap and you know how to run race pace. So really the race pace here was just managing your rear tires, making sure you never slid them really badly, and just finding your groove and staying in it.
Well, Ryan, before we let you go, who would you like to say thanks to and give a shout out to?
Give a shout out to you guys for putting on a broadcast for this. Shout out to Elliot for getting a broadcast for the final few races here. It's always cool. Always love getting interviewed if I finish well. Elliot for putting on a whole league and everything. Putting it on every week, showing up, admitting, doing a good job there. Lowline Racing, team I run for that I'm going to be running with in the Pro Series this coming fall, and DM Software Development, who as of now is looking like they're going to be up on my car here, and shout out to them, shout out to David. owner of Lowline Racing. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys.
All right, that is Brian Macario, your race winner here at the Charlotte Roval. And Blake has caught up with our second place finisher, Mr. Jake Fisher.
Yes, sir.
And Jake, it was an interesting one for you. It was, a lot of battling. It was you and Andrew Schwartz for a long bit right there. You were able to hold him off, and then that restart, passing those guys on old tires. How are you able to get through all that? Because it's just very chaotic.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. It's just chaotic, and I've run a couple of just official races this week, and just in the starts of those, you got to just take care of yourself and make sure you make it through the first infield section, and usually then you're going to be all right. So just kind of took that restart as keeping the fenders on it and making sure I didn't run them over if they were going to check up beforehand, and just holding off people, like you said, holding off Andrew in the first half. It's so tough to pass here. It's just a matter of staying in front of somebody. You even may be a little bit slower, but if you can manage to stay ahead of them in certain points and defend well enough, you can stay in front of them for most of the run. So I think Andrew was a little bit quicker than me in the first half, and I was just able to hold him off and defend and set me up well for the second half.
Well, I was about to say, I know Brian mentioned it, and I'm sure you have as well. You talked about some of the official racing that you had done over the last week or so, the different conditions out here, because especially on these road courses, you get these flat tracks, a track temperature of 128, much hotter than what you guys are accustomed to doing through a lot of the official series racing. How much does that kind of play into your mind, and how much are you having to think about that, especially when you're doing these long, 16, 17 lap runs?
You really just got to take care of your tires at that point. It feels like a rain race, kind of like what we're probably going to see this weekend in real life. But with the track was, I think, 126 degrees when we took the green, so it was just a steaming hot surface, and not using first gear to get out of too many corners and keeping those rear tires on it and making sure you don't buzz them and sliding them and all that kind of stuff. You just try to manage your tires as well as you can while still keeping speed up. And I kind of gave some tips to some guys that I was racing with just to make sure that they rolled through the corner, and the easier you take it, the more rewarding it is on the long run.
For sure. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and throw the mic to you one more time. Really solid effort tonight, coming home with a pretty solid second place finish, pretty commanding there over Andrew Schwartz, who brings it home in third. But I'll go ahead and hand it to you one more time.
I just want to give a shout out to everybody putting this on. Elliot's doing a good job, for it being the first season for him, and he's doing pretty well managing it, and we're getting good car count. So we got a good thing going here. Want to thank you guys for broadcasting. This is awesome that we get the second half of the season rolling, and it was a good day for, my debut here with the Space Station Gaming car and all their partners, Champion, AK Racer, and Raven Accessories.
All right, Jay, congratulations on second. While we have a couple of these final broadcasts upcoming, hopefully may get to talk to you a little more. Good job tonight on a solid run.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, and it looks like Taylor Burris once again going to talk to the driver that rounds out our podium tonight. He does it by holding off Michael Frisch in a pretty exciting last lap. Andrew Schwartz brings home third.
As we are with Andrew Schwartz. Andrew, how was it out there on the circuit as you had a pretty interesting battle towards the end for fourth?
It wasn't too bad. Frisch and me had a pretty solid battle going on there. And then he finally burnt his rears off, and then we almost both missed the chicane on the last lap. Well, we did, but he missed it worse. So I was able to hold on for third there.
Well, how were the conditions, especially when in those heated battles of controlling your race car, especially under braking, going through those chicanes? Explain to the viewers how difficult it was out there.
Yeah, it could wheel hop pretty easily. I felt like getting back on the gas was more the issue. You could get in there pretty hard, but if you didn't get in there straight enough and off, you'd burn your rears all to pieces really quick. I did that a couple of times and had to back off and let the guys just go at it for a bit and then try again later.
Well, as we come to the second half of the season, how confident do you feel as we continue progressing? Do you feel like you could work your way up through the championship a little bit more?
I don't know where I'm at right now. I was kind of hoping just for a top 20, top 15 to see how far we can go. But if I can continue this top 3 streak, that'd be amazing.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what you're able to accomplish as we continue through the second half of the season here for the VSCRA series. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Thanks to Elliot for putting this on every week. It's been pretty fun so far.
All right. That is Andrew Schwartz coming home in P3 here tonight at the Charlotte Roval. And Blake, before we close it out for the night, is there any final thoughts about what you saw here tonight and what we could possibly look forward to as we close out the season for this series?
Well, I think anytime you come to the Roval, you're going to see a kind of a lot of what you saw tonight. A lot of guys kind of get those finishes that they deserve. It's pretty, there's a pretty wide skill gap here at the Roval with just how unique of a track and a road course that it is. So you're going to see guys like Brian Mercurio, and you've seen it in other leagues and across iRacing as well. Just the guys who are dominant are going to come out here and showcase how difficult this track really is to get around and why they're so good at it. And obviously we kind of get back to normal things here, at least what a lot of these drivers are very used to, is getting back on the oval side of things here for the remainder of the season. I'm sure especially after some of the efforts we saw tonight, I think a lot of drivers in this field are looking forward to that opportunity.
I'm pretty sure they are as well. Well, we will be back next Thursday night for the Virtual Stock Car Racing Association and the Kansas Speedway. We're going to be heading out west to the heartland of America, and these drivers will be battling it out for 100 laps at the Kansas Speedway. And Blake, that's going to provide a lot of excitement just because of how much the package for these Xfinity cars works so well at Kansas Speedway. It's going to be exciting, and I got to say, a lot of great racing. I'm pretty sure a lot of these drivers are looking forward to going back to an oval.
Certainly so. And of course, whenever you mention Kansas and iRacing, you have to mention the High Line there and how dominant it can be. But how in the Xfinity cars, you can see a little bit of changing where you can kind of run that bottom middle groove. The racetrack really opens up. So as we visit Kansas, that's obviously something we'll have to keep in mind, and something I think a lot of these drivers are going to look forward to.
Most certainly indeed. And you'll catch all the action next Thursday night starting at 9 p.m. here only on STN Racing TV. And for that, it is time that we come to a close. For Blake McCandless and our producer, Zach Johnson, I am Taylor Burris. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast, and have a great evening.